What is the most ridiculous thing a partner has ever gotten mad at you for? I'm just curious. I'll go first. When I googled easy dinner ideas and he got mad because he said he'd rather I just asked him lol. I texted my ex-boyfriend that I was making chili for dinner. He gets home. I bring him a bowl of the chili and go back into the kitchen. I come back in and he is fuming. Apparently he had thought about eating red chili all day and had no idea that white chicken chili existed like a salsa verde chili. I had to show him a bunch of recipes to show I wasn't fucking with him. Then the next day, I go to have some leftovers for lunch. He had eaten all of it while I slept for some reason to get back at me. Still don't understand what the problem was. My ex watched me plan, prepare, and serve an entire dinner I hadn't tried to make before. He was aware all day what the meal would be and made no comment. When served a plate, he took it, stood up, and dumped the entire plate into the trash. And then yelled at me because he didn't like chicken cooked in that style and I should have known. Even though he'd not said a word while I was preparing it. He got mad at me for laughing at him because he was angry the pizza we ordered had pepperonis out of alignment. They sent us a fucked up pizza, he raged. I giggled, thinking he was kidding. He wasn't. My ex gave me the silent treatment for a week because I spoke over a TV show he was watching. We only lasted a month or so after that. Eventually he started throwing things at me and I left. OFC, he convinced all our friends that I was the loose cannon violent one because that's what these heaps hits do. Me at the time a notorious mustard hater, he a young man who thought he knew better. He made us sandwiches, mine had a metric fuck ton of mustard. I nicely told him I wouldn't be able to eat it and it quickly devolved into him screaming that I never appreciated anything he did for me. Apparently I wasn't cutting onions the correct way. I cried and not BC of the onions. Putting folded jeans on top of folded pants and not separating jeans from pants in the drawer. I have this one taped because I thought he was going to get violent. But he just screamed a lot. When I was planning our honeymoon and he accused me of using it as an excuse to go on trips I've always wanted to go on. Like, isn't that the point? Tears of joy. I didn't invite him to last-minute lunch plans when he had previously yelled at me about hating being included on plans that were made last minute. He was unemployed and I paid for everything, but he wanted advance notice even when he was never doing anything. He was so mad he ignored me and refused to go with me when I had to get surgery. Dumb selfish asshole. Got pissed at me for asking him to close the door while taking a shit. Apparently his whole family kept the door open and talked to each other while pooping and I was the freak. He referred to the kitchen utensil with which you whip cream and beat eggs as a wisp, no speech impediment. I blithely said a whisk. He had the grumps for days. Abusive high school boyfriend begged me to cut his hair. I refused because I had never cut hair and knew it would look bad if I cut it. But he insisted he didn't care if it came out bad. It looked bad. He got pissed off at me. It played out exactly how I knew it would. I'm glad I got rid of him while I was young. Did not hand him a tortilla. He got super angry that I put the contents of a bad egg in the garbage disposal. Not the shell. Just yolk and whites. I threw the shell in the trash. He said nothing could go down a garbage disposal. The disposal was in his house that he built. He got mad because I was playing a team-based shooter game with other guys in the party solo. Queuing isn't an option. A guy the first was dating who had serious commitment issues and issues with his family, needed a pair of dress shoes for a last-minute event and was too cheap, anxious to just go to the mall and buy some. So I offered to ask my brother, who wore the same size, if he could lend a pair. I got accused of trying to make him be part of my family and dumped. Guess who desperately wanted to get back together a year later? Because I didn't want Little Caesars pretzel crust pizza for dinner. It was a Friday and I had to eat school lunch pizza, but then we also had a pizza party for our students. More pizza. I asked if we could get pizza from somewhere else because then I could get a salad. He wanted that fucking pretzel crust pizza. I said I'd get it for him and go somewhere else to get something not pizza for me. Nope. He wanted me to share this damn pizza with him. This grown-ass man went to bed without eating and pouted the entire next day. I still don't get it. Stupid AF. He got mad at you for that. Pretty much everyone has Googled that at some point. So his reaction is indeed ridiculous. My husband doesn't get mad over anything really. At least nothing to do with me. I would have to be truly awful to get an anger reaction out of him. And lucky for him, that wouldn't be usual for me. Neither of us are the type to get angry over small stuff, thankfully. That would be exhausting. I couldn't live with someone who overreacted to trivial things. For trying to hold his hand while at a friend's house. He said it was too much PDA and yanked his hand away. We were with a group of 5 couples watching a movie. I was hurt, but I thought that was the end. But he wouldn't shut up about it on the car ride home. Glad he's an ex. My ex failed to pick me up from the airport returning from an 11 hours international flight. I waited for an hour for him, and when he still didn't show despite me calling repeatedly, I took a cab. He was furious. I undercooked asparagus, which somehow meant I have never in my life truly cared about anything. He got mad I made dinner too early and refused to heat up the plate I made him. For not saying bless you every time he sneezed. Seriously. We weren't religious. Never were. Ex. My ex was a real R who would fight over anything in an attempt to control me, which he was successful in for far too long. I think one of the worst times was when he got mad that I told his mom I like listening to metal music the first time I met her. His mom thought it was the devil's music, so I embarrassed him. As if I was supposed to somehow know his mom was insane. Then he had the nerve to demand I stop listening to it. And when I said no, it turned into a huge fight. He was an abusive POS who learned that behavior from his POS mom. I had a newborn baby. Less than 3 months old. Doing the whole up every few hours at night. Trying to not make my ex get up cause they were the only ones working. Ex says to me while I was half awake, "We are almost out of toilet paper." I muttered okay. We only had 1 car, so I would walk about a mile to the local grocery store. In my state of sleep deprivation, forgot toilet paper. Ex got home, had the only car we had. Drove it to work every day. Blew up on me. Massive fight. Baby is crying. Ex is screaming at how irresponsible I was. I just sat there and cried. I was pairing folding his socks and he thought I was pairing unmatching pairs on purpose to bother him. So he made me do it in front of him while he shat on the toilet with the door open and watched. While he was watching, he thought he caught me matching wrong socks and got up while peeing and ran across the room to catch me in the act.